Hello guys from the ninth grade and welcome to this class of literature. Today we're going to be the topic of action verbs and linking verbs. Action verbs transitive and intransitive. So I'm going to put the presentation in your screen. And we have transitive, intransitive, and linking verbs. So to start, reminding you that action verbs are the one who can be transitive or intransitive. So let's start with the transitive action verbs. Action verbs are the ones who represents an action that may be a physical action or a mental action. That is some topic that we already saw. So a transitive verb is an action verb and it requires a direct object to complete its meaning. In other words, the action verb is transferred to an object directly, okay? So I'm holding the crayon. So the action is holding and I transfer it to this crayon. So that is a transitive verb. To determine whether a verb is transitive, ask yourself whether the action is done to someone or to something, because the recipient for such action may be a person too. So if the action is due to someone or something, that is a transitive verb. For example, I'm stopped, like that. If I say I just stop, the action of stopping is not doing I'm not doing it to someone or to something. So in this case, it doesn't have an object. So that is the difference between one. If you have an object that is the recipient for such action, that is a transitive verb. Remember, it is the direct object show that you can have a transitive verb without a direct object ever. So you can have a secondary object and that will be also a transitive. And you can have an indirect object or without or a direct object, although you don't always have an indirect object. They are mandatory. So if we have an object that is recipient for such action, or for a second object in the sentence, that is and transitive verb. So we have an example: Harry caught the snitch. In this case, the action was caught, and the object was the snitch. So Harry caught the snitch. That is an example for a transitive verb. So let's see some other examples. Okay, so the judge sentenced a man to 5 years in prison. So will be where we have the object. The object is man, and the subject, the judge, is applying an action that is sentenced to a direct object, the man. So that is another example. The attorney has revealed the bad news. So who is the subject? The attorney. What is the action is being performed? Reveal. And what is revealing? The bad news. So that is the object. So we also have a transitive verb because we have an object in the sentence. Next we have the defendant has no alibi. So who is the subject? The defendant. And who is the action who's submitted? Well, having. And what he doesn't have? The alibi. So can be a negative sentence too. So we have some examples over here. So these are transitive verbs because they pass the action to another thing or to another person. That is why they are well, transitive, because they pass. Now let's see the intransitive verbs. Intransitive verbs are action verbs, but it doesn't have a direct object. The action ends rather than begin, transferred to some person or object. So in this case, like when you say Harry caught the snitch, the action of cutting something, cashing it, it transfers to the thing that I'm cashing it. But or I have to cut my bread. So the action is the bread that I have to cut is transferred. But when we don't have, the action is rather ending. So I stand up. And that is the end of the sentence. Standing up is the verb, but is just the verb per se. So that is intransitive. I'm doing an action, but I'm not transferring to another object. They often are followed by an adverb or by a prepositional phrase that relates to the verb, not to the subject. To recognize them, ask whether or not the action is done in some way or in some direction or to some degree. Notice this sounds like a function of an adverb. It's like we are just telling something. We are just doing something, not doing it too. For example, Alice complained bitterly. The action is complain. And to who complained? To no one. Of what she complained? We don't know. We just know that she complained bitterly. So she's followed by an adverb or an action that is describing something. We are describing how she complained. So the verb will be complain, and we're going to end it. The action is finished. She already complained. How did she complain? She complained bitterly. And next we have, he stopped at the store. So this one is, they usually are like answering a question, okay? He stopped at the store. So we have where does he stop? At the store, but he didn't stop a store. She didn't do the action to something. He rather just do the action. So that is why it's intransitive. Where did he stop? In the store. So usually if we can imagine the questions imagine this sentence like an answer, these are intransitive verbs in action. So that is what we're doing. Let's see more examples. We arrive at the classroom door. So arrive is the intransitive verb. And next we have James went to the campus cafe for a bowl of squished stew. So where is the verb? Went is the intransitive verb because she used to do the action. She didn't do it to something. To escape the midnight sun, the cat lied in the shade under our cars. So we have lie, the intransitive verb. Around the French ground pepper, Carol sneezed with violence. Where is the action? In sneeze. And the last example, in the evenings, Glenda sits on the front porch to admire his immaculate lawn. Where is the action? Admire, sits. Sits in the front porch to admire. In this case, admire her immaculate lawn. Admire is a transitive verb because he's admiring something. He's doing the action to something. With sitting, he's just sitting. So that is the difference. We have both type of verb in the sentence. So these are the intransitive verbs. Let's see now the linking verbs. So finally, linking verbs. Linking verbs implies a state of being or condition for the subject, not an action. So these one are more describe something. It's not doing something, but it's just like being. And the pivotal example of the linking verb is the verb to be. We are just being. We are just being or well, being something. So like is the examples. It links the subject to the noun and pronoun to an adjective sentence that tells more about the subject. So usually to recognize them, we have to know that the verb to be is always going to be a linking verb. So if we switch the verb to be for the verb that we are expressing, we are going to be able to recognize them. So again, the linking verb will connect the subject with something following the linking verb that restate the subject to tell us more about the subject. This is one way to see its linking verbs and intransitive verb difference. So we have some of the main linking verbs. So we have is, am, are, was, were, be, being, being. So all forms of the verb to be. So that is the technique to recognize other linking verbs. If we switch the verb for the verb to be and the sentence still makes sense, so we have a linking verb. So common linking verbs will look like appear, prove, become, remain, feel, seem, get, smell, roam, sound, sit, taste, look, turn. So these are of the common linking verbs. For example, if I say my wife appear intelligent, we can switch the verb appear for is, and we can say my wife is intelligent, and the phrase still makes sense. So appear is going to be linking. It's not actioning, it's linking the verb. So that is how we recognize them. Okay, so many verbs can be linking verbs, can be transitive or intransitive verb, depending on the function. So I can be, let's see, for example, look. The verb look, I can use it as an action verb, or I can use it as a linking verb. So the car looks weird. So I say the car looks weird. We can switch the verb. The verb looks for the verb to be, and I can say the car is weird, and the sentence still may change. But if I use look in another type of function, for example, she looks at the she looks at the star, and I cannot say she is at the stars because the sentence doesn't make sense. So in this case, looks is action. So that is how we recognize them. That is the main technique. To don't be confused about that. If we can switch that verb for the verb to be, that is a linking verb. So now let's go to your book, and in page 70. Oh, sorry, 67. Page 67. We're going to have. I'm going to put it in your screen right now. And we're going to have the exercise that we're going to do. So we're going to write the following sentence in your notebook. In this case, you can do it in the book, and you can underline the sentence and only underline the action verbs and classify them the verbs as transitive or intransitive. So let's do some examples. For example, we have Fuller's wife saw in modern instances. He played his part. So we have the verb right here, play. And we have an object in this case. We don't have an object for the actions. The action is played, and he's just playing this part. So in this case, it's intransitive, and we can put an I over here. So we put an I for intransitive. Let's see another example. They enjoy the days as they pass by. So the action is enjoy. Enjoy. And what are they enjoying? Who is the object of this enjoyment? Well, in this case, we have they are enjoying the days. So that we have an object. So we're going to have a T over here, and we're going to keep doing with the same with the other exercise. Next, we're going to identify the following verb as action verb or linking verbs and write a sentence with each of them. So we have shine. Shine, we can use an enters the start of the sun. Shine. Oh, sorry. Shine in the skies. and we have the verb shine. So we can to see if we have an action or linking verb, we can switch. The sun, I didn't write it properly. Sorry. The sun shine in the sky. So we can switch shine for is, for example, the sun is in the sky, and we have see that the sentence makes sense. So we have shine, that is a linking verb, and we're going to write an L beside it. You can do it in the book, or you can do it in your notebook. For turning, for example, I can say she is turning the corner. So turning in the corner. This case turning, we cannot replace it by the verb to be, the form of the verb to be. So turning will be an action verb, and we can write the sentence that we want. So you're going to do the same with the others. Next, we have write the following sentence in your notebook. Identify the verbs and classify them as action verbs or linking verbs. So remember, for example, you are here with me. The verb is are, and the form of the verb to be is always going to be a linking verb. So we put a little L over here. Her golden wings are still buoyant. We have another time the verb to be. Enjoy them as they fly. So where's the verb? In enjoy. And in this case, it's an action verb because we cannot replace it. We cannot put here are them or is them as they fly, because we don't have, it doesn't make any sense. So this one is the difference we're going to make. So remember to differentiate between them, use the verb to be test. So the verb to be is always going to be a linking verb, so we can switch it. If we can switch the sentence, if we can switch the verb, sorry, in the sentence, and the sentence still makes sense, so that is a linking verb. And at least we're going to create a 6-sentence paragraph describing your daily life, and then underline the linking verbs once and the action verb twice. You have to use both linking verbs and action verbs. So that is the work you're going to do. If you have any doubt, you can call me or send me a text. And please cut up and send the homework to my WhatsApp, okay? Have a great day, and bye-bye.